Hey, hi, Dr. Elizabeth. I'm so happy to see you. I still have the lingering memory in my body of our guided meditation you did, I guess, for the full moon, which I also still feel. I slept outside last night and I could really tune into the intensity. And then I thought, oh, great, we're having this call this morning. We're sort of having a whole arc of experience of connection, and I also thought it will be really good for me because I'm really feeling what my connection with you brings in as a settling and calming and smoothing. It's like you have some nutrient in your body that mine loves, that I have radar for it, and I felt it as soon as you sent out your notice of your meditation group. My consciousness said you have to do that. You have to do that. I didn't know much. I just signed up. That's how I do. I just do what my body says, right? That's what this whole group is about. So you and I are both physicians. We've studied different things. You're a psychiatrist. You've come at this whole healing, seeking, what is it to be a human in this time from the point of psychiatry, the mind. I've come similarly, same guiding kind of principle through the body. And here we are seeing that we've landed in a very similar place where all the research is showing really mind body is where real, that connecting and deepening of body connection, awareness, connection to the patterns in nature. So I'm learning more about I've had to learn quite a bit of psychology to do my work, and you've learned quite a bit about anatomy. I noticed in the last group, like we went through clearing a lot of the aspects of the subtle body and also connecting to parts of the body, connecting the conscious to the subconscious. And so I guess that was my introduction of you. And then I thought we could have us go into a discussion about our different ways of working with what we work with, and that first you could lead us through a process, but you might have a few words to say first. So take the floor.
Sure. Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, for creating this space for us to come together, for us to meet, for our bodies, our minds, our waters, and spirits to meet. I think your intro was so apropos in that all of us come at this from different channels, but we all land here. We all land in the body. And yeah, to have the conversation, but let's just kind of start by dropping into our bodies and our waters, which, as I was tuning in to the full moon, waters, this cycle, the message really is everything is happening right now. Our presence to it in this moment is what is going to open us up fully to ourselves and our healing and the unfolding. So let's just start by landing in our bodies and our waters, and from there the conversation will flow where it's meant to flow, not from anything we prepared intellectually beforehand, but with what is really present. So yeah, let's just drop into our waters is what I like to call it.
I can't wait.
Just go ahead and close just close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Take a few breaths at whatever depth you feel most natural right now. There's no need to force or change anything. A deep breath might feel really good, or just a shallow breath with whatever is present for you this morning, knowing that as you bring your attention to your body and your breath, your own rhythm with what is here and what is fully merged. So just letting the air come in and out through your nose.
I'm just letting our
And
group
letting,
know why we're not on.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Calling in everyone who is meant to be with us right now because that is what meant for them. And Carver's going to watch this later. allowing yourself to like fully arrive. Like there's parts of us that arrive first, and then we really open up and say, let all the parts of me arrive. Let's let time to let all of your energy come back, all body, mind, spirit, energy, just really dropping into your body of water. You're primarily a body of water. As a glass of water, take some time to settle. Just allow your body to settle here. Your own breath to settle in. And to really root and ground into the earth. So just imagine from wherever seated, roots growing down from wherever your feet, your body is making contact with the ground or the surface, growing roots into the earth. So really arriving here, not in your body, but on in this moment, connected to the earth. You can just imagine yourself as a tree with roots growing into the earth, and your whole spine as the trunk of the tree, these channels of waterways that come up the earth through the roots and into the passageways of the tree, just channeling all this water into your body. You sending out your branches and leaves, receiving the sun that's always warming our planet. And just dropping into your body of water, recognizing that there's a body of water inside of you that's constantly being and swinging. Your heart is pumping these rivers, but there's also a subtle fluid flowing, swaying all the tissues in your body, like the kelp forest in the ocean. There's just a fluid motion in all the cells and tissues of your body as the movement of water is constantly in motion. Just from a place of being connected to your body, being connected to your waters, being connected to the earth and the sun and the sky. Let's just open ourselves up to wherever our waters guide us to go in our day, in our conversation. All right, Michelle, how are you feeling?
Like I could do this all day. Uh-oh. Ver, I don't know what that was. Possibly the combination of both of our voltage. I have to. This is a thing, everyone. My favorite movie is it's a wild tale of this older Italian woman, well, 40s, 50s, whatever. And she blows out appliances with her.
Energy.
Yes,
Yeah.
she does. And it's very funny and quirky and the way this particular foreign movie. It's called Agatha and the Storm.
Hmm.
So, yeah, something just happened. May or may not have been related. And thank you for that. And my answer when you asked me how was that for me, I could just sit here. I could I could probably do this for a couple hours. Um, Sometimes that's what it takes to bring me back. I did a lot this week, and I noticed this morning I could really notice that my heart wasn't in resonance with my. I was out of resonance. I could really
Mm, mm,
not because anything bad happened, possibly some exciting edges
mm,
kind of stretched me. One of which was to send out an email that had the words energy medicine in it. That I'd say I really feel into things, and it just didn't feel like the term that would really connect the way. Um, yeah, that's even the story. My body was like, it's not time to really be that out with the.
mhm,
It's just a
mhm.
hard concept for people. And I sent out, I just claimed it. You know, I haven't been willing to for 10 years, but I just sent out an email that said, Energy Medicine, a new healing office comes to Fairfax. And it's rumbling as I say it. Sometimes I feel snarky. I had a patient come in. He's like, I don't know about all this energy stuff. And I was like, looked at an atom lately? How's that working for you? just, so this is what life is. And it's kind of the imperative of really, engaging meaningfully in a way that will be supportive of the events unfolding for the healing of the planet and others in a more conscious way that could generate something other than what we're seeing. So this, what
Yeah,
I just said, is really where we are both exactly aligned. I mean, in so many ways.
yeah. I think you just gave voice to, when you were saying like the resonance in your body. You could feel there was something, that was off resonance. I think that body attunement is what we are really moving towards, helping people to tune into themselves. When something feels off in your own body, for you to be able to pay attention to it and to come back into your own rhythm and resonance with it. And I think we are at this stage, this time in history in medicine, where we really want to empower people to come back into relationship with their own bodies. So they don't have to look outside for someone to tell them what's wrong, but for you to tune in and say, like, something's off, something's not in alignment. And, we are energy bodies. We are water bodies, and I think giving ourselves, finding the words is our task to articulate this, because healing is a natural process. Healing and growth are natural processes. Like, our bodies know how to heal. We just get in the way of it. So healers are people who create the space and the time and space to facilitate the healing. But they're not doing the healing. They're just creating the time and space for the body to heal. And when we can trust in that and trust in our own relationship with our bodies, um, that I think that is where the future of health, medicine is moving towards.
Okay, now I'm recalling something you said in our last dive of now how many people in your group were doing monthly deep dive meditations for an hour, right? They're very, very
Mm-hmm.
powerful.
Yeah.
I just got chills because I just connected back with the space that we were in, because that's exactly what you did. You curated a space, you dropped into it, you didn't actually do it. It arose because of maybe the exquisite level of attention and presence that you hold and I hold. This is what I do too. I want to say though how luxurious it is for me to have someone else hold sometimes.
Of course. We all need We space holders need someone to hold space for us.
Totally, totally.
And the earth is holding space for us. The earth and her waters right now are actually holding space for healing. And it's so humbling to partner with Mother Earth and her waters herself as a healing partner because you recognize that, so like I said, that healing is a natural process that happens when the time is right and you're ready for it. And the time is right now on our planet and for humanity to open to healing. And the earth herself is like showing up to be like, let me hold and support this process because your healing is my healing and our healing is mutual. And so when we partner with Mother Earth and nature and the energies of her, it's like the ultimate space holder. And so,
So what you're saying is we
yeah.
actually have it all the time and we don't tune into it. So that's exactly what you sort of, what did you say? You said something and it really, I heard the words really loudly. I was in a bit of a meditative state and then you said the statement and it was so loud, like someone says your name from the other side of the room and you're not listening, right? But
Mm-hmm,
then all of us, your subconscious tracks all of it. That's the nature
mm-hmm,
of our brilliance, really. We have so much more seeing and sensing and knowing than we realize. And you
mm-hmm.
said mind activity shuts down the inner eye.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it,
Yes.
but somehow you said it and it hit me in a different way. It's just more plain. Go ahead.
The image is coming in that, when we as healers create space and curate and hold space for healing itself, the natural process that just happens, it's always available is what Earth is saying. Like she's always holding this healing space for us. And but we're coming in with our blinders, like our mental activity or our busyness or our own thoughts about healing, and we actually are closed off from the space that's being held for us. And so our practice is how to open up to that and receive that on a more consistent basis.
I think that's the work that we're all doing and all the disciplines are doing, regardless of the different uses of language, whether it be Taoist theory or
Mm-hmm.
Vedic theory or um, really all of them speaking to the same thing. Um, there was, so it's so funny that there would be this idea in my, it's just so strange. Like, how could this most fundamental reality be so foreign to us in these modern times? Because the senses that we're speaking of are how we used to tune in, resonate, and literally know where to find water or where the predators were or where to grow our food or where to make our camp or how to heal or and this is how we survived. You and I wouldn't be sitting here right now if humans didn't innately have the ability to finely attune to nature and
Yeah.
cooperate with it, be of it, um, to flourish. How am I sitting here in 2021 feeling like talking about energy is this somehow strange new agey thing? It's just silly. And at this point too, when people are, maybe they're very esoteric, they're very highly credentialed in some area of science and or academia, and they don't have this piece. It's concerning. It's like without this, without the ability to really use the entire intelligence. Like when Einstein spoke
Yes.
to, oh, the mind is only 10% of our intelligence. I don't actually know if this is what he meant, but this statement where we only use 10% of our brain to me means we're actually only using 10% of our intelligence. The brain without the connection to the body knows just enough to get in trouble. which is
Mm.
exactly where we are, right? So when you said, the mind then cuts us off from the seeing, inner seeing, and then I somehow was tuning into this channel where there's a connection all the way down. Because in that last meditation that we did, you actually intuited that we really needed to ground because of the maybe intensity of the moon coming in full, and it was so perfect. And so you went through the entire line of connection that wakes up this mind body connection all the way down to the root. I do this in
Mm-hmm.
my own way. Um, Maybe part of the reason this is so plain for me to speak of is that in my 20 years of putting my hands on bodies, this is what they do. Like they,
Yeah.
yes, cranial osteopathy, as I practice it, is a very energetic discipline. And it's very simple. The cranium and the sacrum do house the hubs of the parasympathetic nervous system. So, yes, we're getting in there and we're helping the body unclench, breathe, so that all of this connection can come through. It's very simple. And so, what I've noticed over the years, maybe it just started happening 3 or 4 years ago, I feel these energy centers light up. I feel them come on, boom, 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 sometimes in different orders, and then the ultimate landing place is all, it's like valves on an engine all synchronized, like they're all,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a symphony, and it's all in
Mm-hmm.
tune, right? And so for me, this has happened for me beautifully in my guidance with in my practices with you. I think I've done 3 or 4 calls, and like powerfully pushing past this kind of like, no, no, I have to stay where I am so I can get more stuff done. But somehow you managed to. There's something about the groundedness, the certainty, the clarity, the right timing, and as you mentioned just now, it's like, oh yes, it's time to actually let some, well, that's what this group is about, everyone bringing their gifts and brilliance, and then the beautiful way that it's really in community that our gifts are amplified, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's
Yeah.
a function of nature and energy where the combination can be greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you started this piece or this section, Michelle, asking like, how did we get here as humanity now in 2021 with being so intellectual? And I view everything as like serving its time and place. Like there's a reason that we went through the Industrial Revolution and now the digital revolution because we need this technology. We need this technology that human brains are capable of bringing into the world. Technology is going to play a big part in how we create a sustainable future for our planet. And now it's just about like we kind of like over relied on it, and now it's just about rebalancing. Like we still need our intellect and our technological advances, but let's remember and restore some of the native wisdom of our bodies that we thought we didn't need anymore. We were like, oh, we've advanced. We have technology now. We don't need that. And the truth is we need both. So, like humanity's evolution, like it's not that we've gone stray or gone wrong. It's just like this is part of it. So like let's learn and grow from where we are, bringing now, it's like such an exciting time, bringing both in the ancient wisdom and the modern technology. Like we are only starting to really bring the two together, and what we're going to create is something that hasn't been created before because it's going to be the melding of both. So no one single person or has the answer. It's going to be about all of us coming together now from all different angles, experiences, expertise, and really saying like what are we going to create now moving forward?
Ah, So beautiful. So, two things came up for me in what you just said. One of which was integration, right? Because it's not either, it's not or. And I could have named this study group the integration study group because everything we teach about is about coming into coherence, which is integration. Like in osteopathy, very literally now I describe what I do as facilitating integration between the physical body and the subtle body. And how
Mm-hmm.
that shows up, and I love your comment on this, is I see as the autonomic nervous system comes into regulation, subtle body is identical. Like you have both camps saying, oh, it's the energy that has to heal for the body to heal. And then you have the polyvagal scientists saying that, oh, it's not yoga doesn't work because of any energy stuff. It's because of the nervous system doing this thing, and obviously it's both. Um, and I don't see that that's quite known yet in the more formal scientific circles, but it's getting there for sure. And then I wanted to love what you just said about how we need it and how maybe actually, and when I tune in, I really do get that this unfolding before us is part of an organic process that really wasn't. It's hard to witness and it feels like a disaster. And let's see what I read or learned something in a spiritual context at one point that said that actually unraveling, like when we fall apart and we kind of learn, we stretch, we develop spiritual maturity to have the chops to be able to um, respond or show up at the next level. And that humanity has really had to go through this difficulty to, just like the butterfly will die
Yeah.
if you, right? The butterfly will die if you break the cocoon and let it out too soon. Like we actually have to kind of
Yeah.
like really dig deep and, right?
Yeah, I feel like this is the dark night of the soul for humanity right now. Like we're in the trenches of like the deepest darks, and
Yeah.
that's where that's where new life emerges. And
Oh,
there's already new life, new light emerging. Like, but that's where we're at. Um, and both of us, Michelle, you and I, we are water women. Like we work with like this water. And I don't know all the theories behind energy medicine and all this. Like that's just not where my uh, research has taken me. But I feel that water itself is going to reveal itself to be one of the unifying components of all these theories.
mm-hmm.
And I don't really know yet, like how, but it just makes intuitive sense to me that water itself, is somehow, connecting all these different theories and all these different
I don't know
modalities.
either, but I feel I agree with you, and I have like six areas of focus with the work that I do when I teach patients how to really embody their own flow reality, which is this integration between the subtle and physical body and coherence. And water is one of them. It can't be separated though. It's like I can't say it's not six parts. It's all one thing with six major areas of focus just to be a little structured. However, I have I just posted a really mystical story that was one of the more mystical things I've revealed about my experience as a healer and a person, but I've had so many. And one was meeting this water scientist in 2015 and the things I have learned from him. One of which is I still don't know that I know what I'm talking about, but we're talking water conducts electricity. Water is like the vehicle of consciousness, or it is
Yes.
it's the
Yeah.
holder. You can't, they're not separate. You're not going to have the energy do anything without the holder of the water. So, water is like the
Yes.
keeper of the consciousness,
Yes.
and that's true in the body. So, as
Yes.
well, right? Just to imagine that we're separate in any way from the planet or the waters of the planet. We're actually, did you know that the human body is the same proportion of fresh water
Yes.
to salt water to land mass as the planet?
As the Earth. I did, and it isn't that's not a coincidence. It's
No,
not a
it's not a coincidence at all. So it's as though we're microcosms of the planet
oh,
walking around
we
with
are.
skin. And maybe I'll take this moment to say, too, osteopathy is, the root is bones. And I always thought, I mean, we have these bones. It's not bones. It's like, because it's everything. Even the founder of osteopathy himself, Andrew Taylor, still spoke about how the artery reigns supreme. It's all about the watering, the withering fields of the body. And it's not just blood flow or cerebral spinal fluid, it's life force circulation. Like when I feel a person rehydrate under my hands on, it's like an electrical effect. It's like static cling on a sock. The cells go and then the blood fluid, the fluids of the body actually can come in. It's like a vacuum. And I actually watch the blood volume shift compartments and the person's lips get dry in front of my eyes, and then
Wow.
they have to hydrate. So, I was speaking with you after our meditation last time about this water technology, and the water, it's about creating water that is more of a vehicle for consciousness in our homes. Unless we have wells and can get our water from streams, which is not very convenient or even safe right now. um, what it does is potentiate the bio battery of the body so that we actually can run more conscious energy. It's like water that will create more healing for more of an ability to run energy. It's really all about, is your life force circulation activated, bright, available, so that at
Mm-hmm.
any given time your way of navigating through the world comes from this intricate complex matrix of intelligence and archives of information from generations past. Like it's all in here. How we like there's pretty much infinite knowing if we're connected here, because this is connected also to the planet. And in a sense time is relative as well. We know everything forever. I mean, that's a deep, crazy statement, but I'm looking back in the study group on June 29th, and Einstein said all these things. He said, this is how nature works. He said, matter is spirit reduced to point of visibility. But it doesn't, there is no matter. It's just spirit in a seeming solid to our eyes in this moment because of some conditions, but it's not actually that. And then he also speaks of time, and we know about all of these concepts of time and space being relative, which is why distance healing can happen, which is why we can drop into coherence. And even though you're in Davis, California, and I'm north of San Francisco in the forest, and there was one last thing about that. Well, maybe you have something to say.
Hmm.
It's deep.
No, it's yeah. I think we all are just still learning. We are still learning, and so I think all of us in this are just having to be really open to not
Yeah.
knowing the definitive answers
Yeah.
yet, but being really open.
So exactly. Bridging that integration state you talked about, where the science and the knowing are somehow going to, right, because everything I just said that he talked about and other scientists talk about, it's actually in quantum theory, and it doesn't yet land to everyday application so much yet, although it is in a sense, in work like the work of this water scientist that I'm working with, who um, I'm hoping you'll be more involved with what you're doing, because it's like water consciousness on the planet. Yes, it's going to help us with the water crisis to be able to use our water this much more effectively, because it is more biologically compatible water restored to coherence like it is in nature, right? We lose that when our water goes through pipes and then humans drink it, and then it kind of dulls our sparkle. It doesn't contribute to this. It's not that it's like putting the wrong kind of water in your car battery. You need the right kind of water to help the electricity flow. It's actually really, I think we're talking about things that are so simple that they're elusive. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just love the idea that water, not the idea, it's a knowing. It's knowing that water itself is alive and has a consciousness, that and it has an energy, that whether it's, it's alive water, or whether it's been the waters itself has been somehow deadened of vitality due to pollution or contamination. And there are different qualities of water, and I'm not a scientist. I'm more of a experiential person where I can just tune in to the consciousness and the energy of water without really understanding what is going on. But yeah, water has different qualities, and it has a consciousness of its own that different people can tune into in different ways. So I think it's going to take everyone with their own unique ways of knowing and working with water to help us,
Yes.
understand this better.
You just reminded me of something I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention in relation to water, which is well, firstly, I'm thinking I'm not really a scientist either, but I'm doing my best. Because of that integration piece, right? Somehow meeting in the middle, like, at
Well,
least I love
I
the,
take that back. We are scientists in
yes,
our own way, because I feel like I experiment and observe my body on a moment to moment basis. I'm collecting
yeah,
data on a moment to moment basis, and I'm
right.
coming up with hypotheses on a
That's,
moment to moment basis. So we are scientists
I
in that way.
I think every
Yeah.
human's a scientist in that way by nature, or we wouldn't survive, right? Constantly
Oh,
learning.
yes.
So the body of work by many, I believe, even Nobel Prize winning researchers like Masaru Emoto, who showed that yes, water can be polluted, and then if we that our consciousness is powerful enough to restore it to coherence, it can go in both
Yeah.
directions. Water can
Yep.
heal us and we can heal water, and we're not separate from water anyway. So we're healing ourselves when we heal water.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in our consciousness being able to purify water. I really feel that our own consciousness, our own intentions of purifying water, energizing water through our own, I don't know, consciousness can have the same effect as some of these technologies that are being developed, and we'll probably need both. We'll probably need technology to help like the masses access high quality water, and then I think you yourself and your own consciousness can purify your own waters just through your consciousness and
Yes,
intention.
I believe that's true for pollutants and even infections. Actually, I guess that's mostly what my focus is with the now apparently energy medicine that I'm calling what I do, because I'm very sensitive. That's why I can do what I do. So, ironically, as I've cultivated my skill, which meant I had to thaw myself when I first started practicing osteopathy in the late 90s. Well, I started med school in 96. Um, I was really not I was not fluid. I was like a brick. And I didn't know what all these sensitive people were having such a hard time with. But once my system started to unthaw and all of the trauma started to kind of like literally off gas out of my body, and then I had to regrow and heal, I've become like a fine instrument now where stuff impacts me all over the place. It's a double edged sword. So I had to go through the calibration of having discernment and kind of agency over how I interface with energy, which is an evolution. It's like a skill that I had to develop over time. So I used to be And we hear a lot of sensitive people go through things where, I did have some version of chronic fatigue for a while, and I thought I was sensitive to mold, and I thought I had Lyme, and it's like the whole pile. And then, once honestly I got into my body, which wasn't overnight or easy or without its several deaths, actually, on an ego level, literally. Um, I don't feel that I rely on substances mostly. I mean, I eat well, but if I can't find a clean food or clean water, I harmonize
You
with
can
it.
filter it
You
out.
know?
Yeah, you can filter it
Exactly.
out. It's like a healthy watershed, purifies the water as it comes down the mountains and through the systems and that sediment filtration process that the earth itself when it's clean can filter water. So yeah, in our current environment there are so many contaminants and pollutants that
So can I teach you
it's
guys a little of the science I just learned that something you just said
really,
triggered? It's
yeah,
so good. I think we should close up soon, and I actually want you to talk about what you're offering soon, and I'll remind people about the teaching that I'm also putting together for teaching people all of these 6 parts. But this actually was on my daughter's practice SAT. It was about electrical effects, and basically the principle in nature is that when water rolls over stones, that actually is that restoring of its that friction or that action of flowing over
mm,
stones. The water has to encounter an object and move around it, and then it's like flint on if you're striking a match, it puts the electricity back in the water, and the water becomes like a lattice. It actually becomes denser than water that goes through pipes and not as dense
mm,
as ice. It's a fourth phase of water that has a gel like quality that can actually capture the nutrients of our food and transport them across the cell membrane much more efficiently, or and also remove waste products and also render pollutants in the water altered ionically so that they become less absorbable by the body or more absorbable, as in the case he taught me of calcium becoming actually able to be taken up and used in bones. So this happens
yeah,
for plants when we water plants with water that has been restored. This way we have these huge drum units that go out to farmers, and they get to water their crops in ways that render multifold more vital um, plants with much less water. It's profound. So we're doing
wow,
this. We're doing this through the Hydration Foundation, and we even had technology that Gerald Pollack made accessible to the Hydration Foundation. Yeah, it's one of my missions to mission. I'm doing it because I feel like my body wants to do it. Like when I put my energy
yeah,
in this direction, I wake up. I'm like, get excited. So that's how I'm trying to make my choices in life, right? Whether they make
yes, your
sense or
body's in resonance.
not.
Yeah, your body's in resonance with this mission, with this project. That's all the proof you need that you need to be doing it.
Thank you. So you actually are going to be opening up enrollment in this course that I'm in with you. I'm in like is it a 6 month or a year long thing where we do these really deep dives, and they're recorded and available, and then you do so much teaching on also just relationships in nature, and you bring in so many elements, and maybe you yourself could describe a little bit, like if you had 3 minutes to describe what your class is, or
Sure, let me
take
try
5.
that. Let me try that. Yes, so
Okay.
I run the Water Keepers community, which is actually an ongoing membership because I was really tuning into the flow of water and how it's always there, how it's always present for us to drink from it when we want it and when we need it. And so it's an ongoing, rolling membership community that, in my vision, is its own healthy ecosystem. Like, this is the space that the earth wants humans to be able to occupy. Is what is a healthy ecosystem with how we relate to ourselves and each other. So we do meet twice a month for meditations, which are really space time for the healing that the earth and the waters of our planet itself want to come through. And so, in the same way that you have this innate ability to tune in to the subtle energies of the body, I have this innate relationship, the earth and the waters of our planet, that they just kind of come and support me holding this space and channeling whatever the earth and the water of the planet want us humans to receive, so that we can tune our own human vessels back into the harmonized energy field of the earth herself. So that really is sort of my role in sort of the space I hold, is being this facilitator and bridge between the energies of the earth and the waters of the planet, and then the human collective. And so much of our human body of water have, just through our experiences, trauma, and conditioning, they are not running well. They're blocked, they're not clean, they have a lot of just that clenching that you talked about. There's so much that the human body needs to learn in terms of how to relax and how to open back up. And so the earth wants to support us in that process, because as we relax back into that harmonic and web of life that is the nature, you go into pristine wilderness, the animals and the plants there are not clenching, they're not worried, they are just being. And earth wants us humans to remember how to be in that harmonic. And it's a practice. And so the space I hold in the Water Keepers community is an opportunity to continue to practice being in that frequency, being in that state of being, and also guidance around all the ways that modern life kind of prevents us from doing that. And how do we remind ourselves to get back into it? What are the tools to get back into that natural state of being, that we ourselves are a part of nature and belong to that greater harmonic? So yes, I'll be opening back up enrollment in 2 weeks. So I'll let you know when that's ready
Well,
for
yeah,
members to come aboard.
we'll post it here and yeah, we'll post it here in the group. I think it's phenomenal. I've always envisioned if I did a retreat or something, I'd be one of maybe 10 people who just did amazing things. And 9/10 of the retreat, I could receive. That was the word that was coming through just then when you were talking. Because rehydration is this, it's a symbology of receiving that we have lost touch with it. So we're all really this clenching, dehydrated, you know? And it's just like somehow receiving is a dirty word. Like we're supposed to be selfless and sacrificing, and our culture heralds all these, you know, these and actually we need to be full if we want to show up and provide what's needed, right? We actually have to receive. We can only give as much as we receive because of that's how nature works, right? So again, a reason to tune in to actually feeling and being guided by nature as to what actually works versus our conditioning and what our mind may say, for our knowing not coming from the body source and the heart.
Exactly. I love that. I love that. Rehydration is about receiving. And us as a human collective body, we are so clenched and closed off from receiving the healing that the earth and the planet is like raining down on us. It's just like falling off of us. And so it's about softening and opening up to receiving the healing energies that nature itself is like constantly just, it's just there,
Right.
but we have to learn how to open up to it.
Well, I think this is our, I can tell we're going to go somewhere with this concept. I can. I just, I think we'll close now with a poem. I want to thank you. You just reminded me of the poem. I quote from my teacher, Bonnie Gintis, who's here in the group in her book, Engaging the Movement of Life. It's about continuum and osteopathy. It's about re, uh, it's about that we're fluid and let's go back to being that. It's as simple as that. And she quoted a poem by Rumi, um,
Mm, love
that
Rumi.
was right. What we're talking about, this receiving in the context of limitless abundance and this inability to receive, and this global, personal and global level of scarcity and dehydration that we're perceiving, that has us gripping and being in scarcity and doing all these, you know, damaging behaviors to ourselves and the planet, is embodied in this poem, which I don't know if I'll quote it exactly, but the idea is that we're like pearls inside oysters at the bottom of the ocean, wondering where all the water is.
Oh yeah, that was a great image of humans. And we could just open our clamshells and receive
Right.
the ocean's love and realize we're oysters as part of this tapestry of marine and land life. Yeah.
Oh, this is just so fun. I love that really ultimately when I dive into, oh my gosh, if I freak out about what's going on, I dive in, and when I get back in and take a swim in the waters of my consciousness, I have so much hope because I touch the deeper thing, that this is all unfolding as it should, for a reason, guided by consciousness and our inner waters and our knowing.
Love
Ah.
it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Michelle. What a great way to start the day. And
Was so wonderful. I can't wait for what's next. I'm so glad you're now present in the group as of, I don't know, a few days ago. And I want to just take this moment for the few people who made it all the way to the end of the video to bring in resources to the group that were maybe sparked by this conversation. This is a collaborative. There are so many sources of inspiration and information, and it really gels when it's all when it's coming from all of us. So I invite
yeah.
everyone to bring in what came up for you and what was inspired in you by this conversation, and then suggest others. So thanks so much, Elizabeth, and we'll have another conversation. So
Thank you so much, Michelle. Have a beautiful day.
you too, love. Take care.